The 80-year-old Russian veteran encountered a group of gangsters. The gangsters pointed at the veteran's medal and humiliated him. "Ha ha ha, brothers, do you hear me? I just found red, red, red." Faced with the gangsters' taunts, the veteran definitely ignored them, but the young lady on the side. But he was not calm anymore. When the gangster looked back, his eyes suddenly lit up. It turned out to be a Russian beauty. Her beauty for a day immediately made the gangster lose his heart. The girl never imagined that the gangster could be so bold in broad daylight. She could only shout loudly for her mother. Suddenly, she stood aside. Brother Bing couldn't sit still anymore. At this moment, he was like Ye Wei, who had easily eliminated a group of young people with just one cigarette. Brother Bing's bravery took advantage of the situation and made the little girl feel a little bumpy in her heart. If nothing happens, the two of them will soon have a more in-depth communication. Since the next plot is very boring, I will help everyone skip the time for the time being. It is already 10 years later, Brother Bin has become a pilot of the Russian Air Force. At this time, he is flying to Syria to perform a mysterious mission. Just now, terrorists in Syria shot and killed 5 Russian civilians in a live broadcast around the world. This act of committing suicide is completely meaningless. Emperor Pu, who had angered the fighting nation with doubts, immediately issued an order vowing to capture the terrorist leader alive. It must be said that the efficiency of the fighting nation is really fast. Before the story was finished, a well-equipped special forces appeared at the terrorist base. In addition, they used advanced Orion drones to monitor the enemy's every move in real time. Soon the target appeared in the team's field of vision. As the captain gave the order, the assault team took immediate action. With the cooperation of the drone, they successfully sneaked within the base. In order not to alert the Snake team, they tried their best to conceal their actions. And the leader is in order to... Reflecting the professionalism of the team, he used his left hand to hold the gun and slowly poked out his body. In order to capture the leader alive, they did not dare to carry anything with them, because the other party was so ruthless that they killed everyone evenly. At this time, he was proudly introducing his heavy weapons. At this moment, the reconnaissance team left behind discovered a group of suspicious vehicles speeding toward the base. It turns out that they are American mercenaries, and indeed they are the world's police. No matter where there is war, there is the sound of toe sticks, but this does not affect the fighting spirit of the fighting nation at all. In order not to affect the arrest operation, they brought out the anti-tank shells that they had prepared, and there was a loud noise. The mercenaries immediately fell into chaos, and they quickly got out of the car to fight back. However, the Russian troops were well equipped with firepower and ferocious bullets raining down on the mercenaries like crazy. At this time, the terrorists who heard the noise in the base also began to support the American mercenaries. Countless snipers had already set up WP, but they appeared. However, the mercenary captain Sang Biao was not a vegetarian. He asked his men to cover Wenjun on both sides and continued to use heavy firepower to counterattack. On the other side, Wensheng's escaped base leader happened to be attacked. During the team's ambush and lightning incident, a group of terrorists received a lunchbox and the leader was captured alive on the spot. The whole process was done smoothly, which made everyone marvel at the strength of the fighting nation. Seeing that the leader was captured, a large number of terrorists came and attacked, and the team retreated through tactical formations until they entered the fire range of peripheral teammates. At this time, the drone discovered that the terrorists had formed a trend and were about to seal the top of the mountain. However, but he didn't panic at all. With the crazy output of the grenade launcher, the terrorists were blown up in a matter of seconds. Then the teammates on the mountain threw it lazily, and the people down the mountain carried it on their backs. The leader's soldiers quickly fixed the artifact. Under the fire suppression of his teammates, he successfully rendezvoused with his teammates. Now the team has to flee the battlefield with its leader because the terrorist reinforcements have arrived, and the Russian Air Force still needs 10 minutes to arrive. Can the team escape smoothly? What will happen to Russia when the enemy is angered? The fate of 2015. 5 Russian civilians were shot dead by Syrian terrorists in 10 months of 2011. The special forces who went to take revenge were surrounded by American mercenaries, as the furious emperor ordered a Russian most advanced Su-20. The 4 fighter jet took off into the sky and saw it turning on lightning mode and heading towards the terrorists' lair at super light speed. After confirming the target, the pilot decisively pressed the bomb release switch. Although the enemy had an indestructible defense, it was surgically attacked by 4 armor-piercing bombs. The division's blow hit the whole building and was wiped out in an instant. The powerful fire suppression bought time for the special forces. The powerful fire suppression bought time for the special forces. The leader of the base with the fire table successfully escaped from the battlefield. By cracking the leader's mobile phone, the Russian Defense Ministry actually learned of a shocking conspiracy. It turned out that terrorists were secretly developing chemical weapons and were transporting them to naturally. The Russian Air Force in Turkey would not let go of this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Soon, 2 Su-24 fighter jets took off again. However, as soon as they flew out of the airport, they were spotted by terrorist spies. He quickly informed the boss, Sang Biao. Unexpectedly, Sang Biao not only instead of escaping, the weapons-carrying vehicle quickly drove to Turkey. At this time, the reconnaissance personnel on the ground promptly fed back the information to the pilot. When Lao Bai saw that he was about to reach Turkish airspace, he let the other fighter plane stay put. He circled and entered Turkey alone to pursue the enemy. Soon, the navigator Xiao Shuai confirmed the target. Without any hesitation, Lao Bai decisively moved the switch secretly and successfully eliminated the target. Lao Bai was exposed to the danger of satisfaction. Little did he know that this was the trap set by the Americans for him. At that time, a Turkish F-16 suddenly appeared behind him. The opponent fired a Joji missile without saying a word. Although Sihua's tactical evasion solved a missile, the opponent did not want to give him a chance to breathe. Immediately afterwards, the second missile roared towards Lao Bai, who could not dodge and was hit directly. They were about to fry the chicken. The two had no choice but to choose to parachute to escape. They thought they would escape. Unexpectedly, the heartbroken Sang Biao actually let his men shoot at them crazily. What's even more cruel is that they also live broadcast this scene of violation of international conventions to the whole world. At this time, old Bai in the sky was like a... The fireman beat his son into a gag and saw him using up his last bit of strength to escape. After putting on the love ring, he kissed her affectionately. This was considered as a final apology to his wife, who was waiting for his return. Then it hit the ground heavily, and the terrorists actually cheered in public. But soon they didn't know how stupid their approach was, because the navigator Xiao Shuai survived by luck, and the first thing he had to do was to take this. The tragic experience reached the ears of Emperor Vladimir Putin. This is a Russian air combat movie that is applauded by everyone who hates the United States. It is not only changed through real events, but also has the full support of the Russian Ministry of Defense. Even most of the actors are active special forces. In the movie, the terrorists not only brutally killed 5 Russian civilians, but also violated international conventions by shooting a pilot who parachuted to escape. The other pilot, Xiao Shuai, was still. The whereabouts were unknown. Emperor Pu was greatly shocked when he learned of this. He immediately issued an order to complete his revenge, even if he was questioned by the whole world, in order to show a fighting nation's respect for heroes. So a revenge action that shocked the world began. At this time, the leader of the American mercenaries was asking his boys to unfold the carpet and search. Xiao Shuai could only throw away the unlimited power first, and then break the branches on the side to confuse the pursuers. But how could Sang Biao be easily fooled? He asked his men to chase in the opposite direction. Sure enough, Xiao Shuai was soon forced into a desperate situation. He could only temporarily hide under the cliff. At this critical moment, the 2 Mi-8 helicopters serving as the advance force were roaring to a halt at a very low altitude. All the little clams were caught off guard, which just gave the handsome little a chance to breathe. He took advantage of the chaos and quickly jumped to the depths of the cliff, but he was still discovered by the mercenaries, who waited until he rolled down to the bottom of the mountain. It turned out that the leg had been hit by a bullet, and a Mi-8 helicopter had also been hit. Braving the billowing smoke, he could only rescue the emergency armor-breaking troops. As a result, the soldiers were attacked by terrorists as soon as they got off the plane. The Russian army had no choice but to fight to the death. However, the opponent's numbers were overwhelming, and the soldiers were soon unable to parry the machine gunners. Unfortunately, they fell to the ground with heavy burdens. Seeing more and more enemies, in order to minimize losses, they had no choice but to pull the wounded and retreat first, repelling the fighting nation. The rescue made the terrorists become more rampant and even threatened to burn Xiao Shuai alive as he escaped. At this time, they did not realize that death was about to fall on their heads, because their every move was already under the surveillance of the Russian Ministry of Defense. The great emperor roared, and 2 Sur-7 supersonic aircraft rose up in response. Together with the naval destroyers and the Alpha Special Forces, the sea, land, and air forces quickly. With the help of drones, all American mercenaries and terrorists were targeted. They didn't even see the enemy clearly, and they became fresh and vassal. The young commander was also successfully rescued under the search of his teammates. After he escaped from the battlefield safely, the Russian army could finally vent the anger in their hearts unscrupulously. 2 short and steady helicopters started carpet bombing. The stunned enemy was beaten to the point of being stunned, but this did not calm the Russian army's anger. They launched an even more violent revenge. At this moment, the terrorists finally realized that they had offended the world's most incompetent people, men to mess with. After this battle, the whole world knew about the terrible sacrifice of the ancient emperor. The remains of the pilot were also transported back to the country. The ancient emperor personally awarded him the title of Russian hero, and his heroic deeds also buried the dream race for his son. The film ends at this point. The film is based on the true story of 2015. This adaptation of the fighting nation's way of dealing with problems only proves one thing, that is, the truth is always within the range of the canon.